Are you ready to get your plan on for 2021? I know that this past year has felt anything but ordinary, and if you're anything like me, you haven't felt like you're in that much control. So in this video, I'm talking about how to plan for 2021 and overcome a little bit of 2020 business PTSD at the same time. So if you want to see my exact annual planning process, step one of it, make sure to watch. Hey there, Empire Builders. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Haley Dale, and I am a content and sales funnel strategist helping you create more purposeful, productive, and yes, profitable content too. So if that sounds like something you're looking for, make sure to hit the subscribe button or that little bell icon down below this video to be notified every time I drop a new video. It is almost my business anniversary, and I am coming up on 6 years here, and I got to get out of Dodge. So this year hasn't been a great one for traveling, but I am still going to make time for my solo business retreat. So we have a beautiful cabin right by the ocean, and that is where I'm going to plan. Yes, I'm bringing my family with me, but they are under strict orders not to talk to me for 2 days during my day planning process. But I'm excited that I can spend some quality time with them away from our home at the same time. So I have 2 full days for work, and I'm going to be planning up a storm during that time. So I've broken down this video series, this planning series, into 2 videos, and this is going to deal with part 1, which is for the review process, and then the next one is going to deal with my annual planning process. I know if you're anything like me, every time someone has given me a review process for the year, I have glazed over and not done it. I don't want to do it. I'd rather just move on to the next thing, especially from 2020, and not look back. However, I have structured this review process a little bit differently so that we are actually using 2020 and we're mining the different areas of your business. We're auditing your business, making sure that everything is buttoned up and ready for 2021 success. So we're mining it for goals and mining it for improvement ideas. So definitely don't skip this process because it is going to be the foundation of coming up with your goals in the second part. So this is what I do in day 1, and this is my exact agenda for coming up next week when I leave for my solo business retreat. But before I go, I actually have a phase 1 of the planning process, and that is really to set the stage for a successful retreat. So I hope that you're able to get away for a couple of days or even 1 day to just plan, or even if you can't, just try to make it feel like a retreat. Try to make it feel a little bit special and try to minimize those day-to-day distractions. So I like to have 1 or 2 full days for this, really clear my plate. So I'm not dealing with client emails, I'm not dealing with team requests. I'm really just dedicating this time as the CEO of my business to set the course, to chart the course of my business for the year coming up. So I like to make sure that I have my favorite supplies and snacks at hand. So I do a big office supply run and I get all the colored Post-its, all the colored markers. I just go nuts. And I like to just make sure I have all the supplies in front of me so that it's something that I can feel really colorful and excited about. The next thing is I make sure I have healthy snacks, but also delicious ones too. So making sure you have those at the ready because your brain is going to be working during this review process. So make sure you got some snacks, some stuff you like to munch on as well. Then I like to make sure that I'm scheduling in some self-care time in that 1 to 2 days as well. So this is so necessary for recharging and really being at our best, but make sure you schedule some self-care time. Maybe that means, setting a time limit. By 5 o'clock, I'm done. I'm going to go out for a nice dinner or order in, depending on where we're at. Maybe go and get a massage if you can. Just think about what that self-care time is and make sure that you dedicate some time in these planning days to actually do that. Then I like to create my agenda ahead of time, but if you're going to follow my process, you already have my agenda, so you really don't need to come up with your own. Just take it, tweak it, and make your own. So phase 2, and we're actually going to review and reflect on your past year. So I break this into 11 sub-steps here, and the most of my day in day 1 is spent on this review process. And I'm looking at every area of my business to mine it and audit it for reviews and improvements that I can make. When you get to the stage in business, when you get to any stage in business, it isn't about those grand sweeping changes that are going to make your business succeed. It is about finding those tiny things and tweaking them and making them better, not starting from scratch. That is the best way to grow faster, is to work with what you already have in place, but you have to have enough awareness and self-awareness to really identify those things and know what to fix first. And that is where this review process comes in. We're going to be walking through every area of your business. So the first place I like to check out is my 2020 sales. And usually I'm doing this in November. And so I don't have my final sales numbers. I don't have my final numbers yet, but I'm doing year to date. And then I schedule a time in January to come back and finish up the year. But for now, I want to look at my year to date sales, and I want to look at what the offer was, what my units sold were, the average price, total sales, as well as asking myself, where did most of those sales come from? So I think we can actually learn a lot. If most of our sales came from referrals, why wouldn't we double down on that? If most of our offers came from ads or our funnel, that's a big sign that that's where we should focus our energy, or developing other types of sales, because maybe that one's all covered. So once you have this, I want you to ask yourself, did you have any surprises once you actually looked at this number and where the source of those sales were? Were there any surprises that came from bringing an awareness to this? And then are there any offers that you maybe want to cut next year, or any that you want to add for the coming year? Number 2 of 11 is your sales system. So I like to start here by mapping out my entire sales system for the main offers in my business. So for me, that is your content, your empire, and your profitable funnel. So I could worry about every other one, but those are the 2 I want to worry about. And I want to map out what that sales system is. So what is that system that I have in place for regularly selling this offer? And if you don't have that, definitely make that a priority for next year. That's a good sign that maybe that is one goal that you should have for the coming year, is to develop that sales system. So once you map that out, it's a good chance to kind of look back. Are there any improvements that you want to make next year or for this particular sales system, or create one if you don't have one in place? Review 3 of 11 is your 2020 traffic year to date. So we want to look at, your total traffic, your unique traffic, your most popular pages, your most popular blog posts, and then what were the sources of those traffic. So you're going to go into Google Analytics. And if you don't have Google Analytics set up on your website yet, don't fret. Go and get it set up. That is your task for this one, so that you have these numbers next year. So once you have all of those numbers gathered, and you've narrowed the date to January 1st to January 31st, gathered those numbers, were there any surprises? Were there any months where traffic plateaued, or whether it grew? Did traffic grow or decrease or plateau? What were your main traffic drivers this year? What do you want to double down on? And what did you put a ton of effort in that maybe didn't drive any traffic at all? So what do you want to maybe add or change for next year when it comes to your traffic? 4 of 11 is your 2020 social game. And this is where we're going to look at the social media platforms that you're using regularly. So whether that is Instagram or Twitter or Pinterest, choose the ones that you're using on a regular basis and actually spending time on them. And I want you to write down what the platform is, what you're following there is, what was the traffic from it. So this you're actually going to grab from Google Analytics. What was the engagement like? How much joy did you get from this platform? And were there any other results that aren't shown in these numbers? So maybe you had a ton of sales from there, but they aren't necessarily captured in the numbers, but it's worth it because it actually drove sales, which is the whole point of this marketing thing. Were there any surprises with social? So once you do this final review, what worked, what didn't, anything to start or stop in the coming year, and what could you make better system or strategy wise when it comes to social media in 2021? Then we want to review your 2020 brands. So I want you to do a review of your brand guidelines and how are you currently feeling about them? Is there anything that still works for your business or doesn't work, or are there any updates that are needed? And then I want you to do a spot check of your brand application. So go and look at some of your past images you put out there, some of your past blog posts. How are your brand guidelines being respected and incorporated? Do you need to make any updates to better reflect what you're actually putting out there, or create new templates or systems to support the brand guidelines? What are your brand values, and are they being represented? Are they resonating with your audience? Do you maybe need to update your brand values? And then any updates that you can make to the brand next year, make sure to jot those down, because those could be some great ideas for your goals for 2021. Now it's time to do your 2020 website review and audit. So I want you to look at every single main page of your website and make any observations or changes that you want to make to them. So this is a good chance to go page by page and just test it out. Not necessarily all of your blog posts, but just your main pages of your website. We want to make sure you're doing at least an annual review of them and what they maybe need for updating. This is also a good chance to do any annual website maintenance, maybe updating plugins, removing users, that sort of thing, making sure your security is up to date on your website. And then I want you to just jot down your overall impressions of your website and what changes you want to make to it in 2021. Now we're changing to more of a systems focus, and I want to start with your offer fulfillment and your customer experience. So for each of the main offers in your business, I want you to map out what the offer fulfillment process looks like. So what steps, how is your offer being delivered? Everything that happens after the client gives you money or says yes, what happens after that? So can you map that out and then evaluate it step by step? And what questions do you get? What feedback do you get? What improvements can you make for each of these sections? So go through section by section and map it out, as well as audit it and what could be better. Then we want to look at your 2020 systems. And I basically want you to create a systems inventory. I want you to look at all of your different systems in these 5 different categories. So content and marketing, offer fulfillment, admin and team, CEO, and other. Write down any of the systems that you already have created, and then any of the systems that you still need to create, and put a little asterisk by those ones. What worked this year in terms of systems, and what could you make better? What do you need to create systems-wise in 2021? Finally, 2020 team. I want you to evaluate your team if you have one right now. Review your current team members and their role and their effectiveness. So what is the team member's name? What were their roles and responsibilities? If you could give them a score from 1 to 10 based on fit for this particular role, what would that be? And any notes that come up. Then I want you to also write down any people you maybe want to hire in 2021. Who is that team member? What is that role? What are those responsibilities? What is the timing for hiring this person? And any notes you want to keep in mind for this. So overall with your team, what worked this well? Who needs more training? And what can you outsource more effectively next year? Then I want you to do a review of your 2020 finances. And this is another one of those year-to-date things, since the year is not over. But from a high level point of view, you should know your high level numbers. And we want to know for each month of the year, what were your sales? What were your expenses? What was your profit? And what is your tax estimate? So write down any notes here. And then were there any surprises? What did the majority of your sales come from? And what expenses can you maybe cut next year? What investments do you want to make next year? So do a reflection. And if you're feeling really behind on your bookkeeping, maybe it's time to outsource it, or you can go and check out my friend Heather's bookkeeping spreadsheet system. You can catch up each month in about 20 minutes per month. So I'll put a link to that down below if you're feeling behind on your numbers and you need to do some catch-up work. So it's time to look at your 2020 goals, and I want you to review them. So pull them from your previous year's plan and write them all down. So make a list of the goals that you wanted to accomplish in 2020. What is the status of each of those goals? Are they complete? Or can they be complete by the end of the year? Are you moving them over to next year, or are you cutting them? Did you realize it wasn't that? Then decision, are you going to finish it by the year, carry it over? Were there any surprise goals that you accomplished this year that you maybe didn't plan for? Those are also great little surprises. And then if you have any ideas for next year's goals, or anything that you want to carry over, or anything you want to include next year. So you might realize that we don't actually review your goals till the very end of our review process. And there's a reason for that. We want to make sure that you are keeping everything in consideration when you're evaluating whether or not you succeeded at your goals. We can find wins in other places. And oftentimes we don't realize that we actually accomplished our goals or actually didn't accomplish our goals until we look at all the other areas of our business and have a high level sense, a 10,000 foot view of everything going on in our business. And that's the purpose of this review process. So phase number 4, and how I wrap up day 1 of my solo business retreat, is by asking my 5 magic questions. And I ask these questions to myself every single year. And I actually ask them to myself. I did a post on Instagram about them when the quarantine hit. Like, this is a good chance to reevaluate things, but I usually do this at the end of the year. And here are the 5 magic questions. So number 1 is to do with motivation. So why did you originally start your business, and has that motivation changed? So I want you to journal on each of these questions, and that was number 1. Then once you're done that, I want you to ask yourself about the investment in your business. So how much are you really working in the business right now? Where are you spending most of your time? And what is your business costing you? So think about what your business is costing you and journal on that. Then return on investment, ROI. So what are you getting in return from your business for that investment that you're making. What is the return on that investment? Then we want to ask about alignment. So, how is your business currently fitting into your life? What does your ideal daily lifestyle look like? And in this ideal lifestyle, what are you doing on a yearly, monthly, weekly, quarterly, and daily basis in your business? So we want to get clear on how your current business stacks up against what you really want, that ideal lifestyle. Then pivot. What needs to change in order for you to live the lifestyle that you want? What changes do you need to make in your business? Think offers, ideal clients, marketing, sales systems, and team. So this is my agenda for day one of my solo business retreat going down next week. And you can find all of these templates in my 2021 Content Empire Planner. This process was actually the inspiration behind this version, this annual edition of the planner. And, tell me what is one change that you're going to make to your business in 2021? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I'll be dropping one every single Monday. And I'll see you then.